Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode. Today you find me in part 2 of this two-part series. Part 1, I told you guys that I got into the RAV4, our RAV4, my wife's RAV4, and we found that as soon as you start the car and turn the steering wheel, we were getting that typical power steering whining noise. Now, I dealt with the problem in part 1 of the series, which was called Diagnosis, where we diagnosed that we definitely have a power steering system issue. Now, definitely when the steering wheel is making that whining noise, it's telling you that your fluid level is definitely low. So in part 1 of this two-part series, I actually took care of the fluid level. I went to the front of the car. We saw that the fluid had indeed dropped its level. It was below the cold max, and I topped it back up to the cold max. Now, for Toyotas, you typically use any Dextron type ATF for your power steering system. Now, in today's video, we're on part 2 of this series where we actually want to deal with the source of the problem. So I want to take you guys through what we have found. We have gone underneath the car. We have looked at a bunch of components, and we are now happy with what we have found and what we need to take care of. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you do, make sure you hit like, subscribe, comment down below. Welcome to all the brand new subscribers. This is the Masai Gaines channel. I'm Masai Gaines, and enjoy this video. Guys, just want to take you through the power steering system and what we've found and what we've diagnosed today and the way forward. So basically, with any vehicle and with the power steering system, any vehicle, usually you will have a bunch of components that runs your power steering system. Power steering is basically, you remember back in the day when vehicles had really tough steerings and it was really tough to turn in the vehicles. That's because they didn't have power steering. And so power steering was invented to be able to ease that. Fluid runs through the system and the steering wheel becomes a lot softer. Now, typically for such a system, you need a bunch of components. You need a steering rack, and that rack can be hydraulic, it can be electric. You have a reservoir in the front, and you will typically have a steering pump. So basically, the pump will accumulate the fluid, it will release the pressure, the fluid will run through the rack, and that fluid will circulate and make it easier for you to steer. Now, typically from part 1 of this series, which you guys also saw, we went and diagnosed that we definitely had a leak in the power steering system. I found out that the steering wheel was making a whine, which is a signature noise that you have a leak in your system. Went to the front of the vehicle, saw that the fluid was low, put some more fluid in it. So basically, I dealt with the issue when it arose. There was an issue, there was a low fluid level, I diagnosed it, and I dealt with the issue on the day. But as I told you in part 1 of this series, I told you that we might not be quite done with the issue at hand. And yes, indeed we weren't. So today, I came back and I found that the level was low again. It's not that the steering wheel is whining, but the level is low again, which typically means that this issue has been happening over some time. Maybe it's been actually taking some time. And so basically, it's been leaking slowly over a bunch of months. Now, when I topped up the level looked okay on the reservoir, but as I started the vehicle and I drove it, it must have circulated that fluid again into the steering rack and a bunch of other systems, and so the level dropped again. So what we diagnosed is that it's a slow leak, it's an internal leak, and it's coming from the steering rack. Probably an internal leak because of maybe some aged O-rings on the steering rack. Basically, what you could do is two things. Number one, you could just change the rack. In a vehicle like this, it's not too expensive. It's about $100 because it's a much simpler vehicle. It's a RAV. If it was in one of my Land Cruisers, I'd be having much of a headache right now because that's a bit more stressful. But with this, you could change the rack, or you could just put in option number 2, which is a stop leak fluid. And that's actually what I'm going to do for the first time. I'm going to put in a stop leak fluid. Now, typically, you guys might have heard such fluids are for like head gaskets and other kind of items like that. I've never used them. I'm not typically a fan of them. But for this kind of car and for what we're trying to achieve, I would like to try it out. I think it's a liquid moly kind of fluid, and it will basically go in the system with fresh fluid, and it will seal up any kind of leakages that we have in our rack and give us some more life until maybe in the future we know we need to deal with the rack. So part 1 we diagnosed, and part 2 of this series we're getting to the heart of the problem and solving it. At least we know that our pump was dry, and at least we know the pipes, and we don't have any specific leaks. So it's the leakage is emanating from the steering rack. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Now join me in the next clip as we wait for the fluid to come. I will show you guys that. We'll put it in the system, we'll flush all the fluid, and yeah, we should be good to go. This two-part series. I hope you guys learned something. These are just typical power steering issues, but things that you should know so you can deal with on the spot, so that you don't have more damage or more issues that come along because you delayed a repair. All right, guys, so we are back. Want to get the car finished up. I'm just going to show you what we are using. This is how this fluid leaks, keeps system running smoothly, formulated to stop leaks, power steering sealer by MAG Group, made in the USA.
It looks like oil.
Basically, it is an oil. It's some kind of oil. So what are we doing? You're filling this first,
Yes.
and then you're gonna run the car.
Not yet.
Not yet, not yet.
Turn the wheel without starting.
Oh, manually.
It's going down.
Yeah, it's going down. As you can see, guys, so this is what we're doing. We've put in the power steering sealer. You can see the level going down as we turn the wheel of the vehicle. Manually turning it, the vehicle is not on. So we're getting the fluid into the system. So we've just filled it up again. Fluid level is full again with our sealer. Now we're gonna turn the wheel again manually. Vehicle is not on, so it's just manually turning that wheel. And as you can see, the fluid level is dropping again quite quickly.
It's running the system.
Yeah, so the fluid is just running into the system, into the rack. So after our sealer, we will add our Dextron type ATF, and then we should be good. Wow, that's really, really gone down. Now, how much does it take? 2 liters?
Even just below a liter. This water.
So now we're just going to finish up topping up with ATF and do the exact same thing. So both the fluids mix up together, and that should do its job. So now we're running the vehicle. As you can see, fluid has entirely disappeared. We're gonna top up some more.
We'll let it run.
Alright guys, so we finished up our job here. As you can see, the fluid level is now above the max. This is a mixture of the sealant and the ATF, so it's a bit above the max. It might drop just slightly as the fluid does its work, but we shouldn't have any more leaks. We should have treated it. Alright guys, so that's been it. Rounding up this video. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. If you did, hit like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll catch you in the next one. It's been Masai Gaines checking out.